Back at you with another episode coming at you from chooseyourrelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. And today I got a special guest. Her name is Maureen Scanlon, founder of Scanlon Life Coaching. She's an award-winning author, relationship expert, motivational speaker, positive change integrator, spiritual coach who has successfully helped many people from experienced professionals to young adults, couples, and she focuses her tools and techniques on overcoming past negative experiences and making positive change in our thoughts and lives. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to talk relationships and enjoy just having these awesome conversations and meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for making time to do this. So where are you from?
So I grew up in Arizona and I live in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So beautiful, sunny Phoenix. Here we are.
So how did you get started?
So interestingly enough, I think a lot of people when they fall into their passion, they realize it just happened by accident. And for me, it happened by accident. So I had a really rough first half of my life. I did some healing. I manifested the most amazing husband in the entire universe. And we were on our honeymoon, and a lot of people were coming up and talking to me and really wanted advice on where to go, what to do. And so I started a blog called Just Ask Mo. And from there, it grew. Someone reached out and said, you should be a life coach. And I looked up life coaching and I said, oh my gosh, I've been doing this my entire life. So yeah, let's get paid for this. So I started the business about 3.5 years ago, and it has grown immensely. And I've written 2 books, and now I've quit my corporate job, and here I am following my passion and loving getting paid for what I love to do. And I never knew what that meant until now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you were chosen by the people, basically.
I think so. I think I finally heard the people. Maybe I've been doing it forever, but it really it was it finally was a new development or a new title. This life coaching where it was outside of therapy and counseling, and it fit right in with who I am, because I don't believe we learn from books. I believe we learn from experience. And so my whole entire life experience brought me to that moment where, oh yeah, I can sit in front of anyone and talk pretty much about anything because I've been there and done that.
Gotcha. So how did you come up with the book? That's
Great question. So, book number 1 is My Dog Is More Enlightened Than I Am. And the title speaks for itself. I'm going through this healing process. I had been in relationships from 18 years old. I got married. And up until I was 46 years old, I'd never been alone. And so I took this healing period, this 2 years, to just say, the only constant in all of this is you. So there's something that's got to give here. You're not doing very well in relationships. Learn how to love who you are. And so as I'm healing, going through this process, my dogs were by my side at all times. And when I was sad, they'd be, licking my tears, or, when I needed uplifting, they'd make me laugh. And, it was just sort of this divine design where it came to me and I thought, man, their lives are so easy. They're so carefree. They live in the moment. They seek, self-soothing when they need it. When they're tired, they lay down. And I literally sat down to write the book, and I wrote it in 8 weeks. And it was just, boom, it just flew. And then after the first book, everyone said, you have so much experience with relationships and dating and marriage. I had two other marriages before the one I'm in now. And I said, you're right. And so again, relating the dogs to relationships, they have so much guidance to teach us to just follow that, and you really, really can be happy.
okay. So what do you think about relationships today in this modern technology-driven world that we live in.
It's a loaded question, right? What do I think about relationships today? Um, what I do you would you want to know what I think about how we find relationships, or just how we are in relationships today, and maybe some of the struggles we face in relationships?
How we find?
Okay. And that is a wonderful question, because it is so different. It is so different the way we find a mate today than our grandparents did when they went to the dance hall and got names on their dance card. You know, this is so different. And it's challenging because it's a lot more impersonal, I think. And yet, I think technology is also a friend if we can use it the right way. So I went through the whole, I dated, you know, in between my marriages, and then I dated after my divorce. And so being able to see it from a younger perspective, and then also as I got older, being in the older age range of dating, it changed drastically, even just in that 10-year period. I think I really love the online dating process because it's a double-edged sword, but I think it's a great process because, you know, I always tell women, don't waste your makeup. And so, you know, back in the day when you get dressed up and you're kind of like, oh God, it's such a process. You go to a date, you sit in front of someone, and in the first 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, I know this isn't going to work. I think online dating, we can eliminate that, and we can also deep dive a little bit more than we would just going on 1, 2, 5 dates before you really get to know someone. So I think technology is good if you're using it the right way and you're filtering those dates and those possible potential partners in the right way by asking those deep questions.
Yeah, the thing is, most people never meet.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's crazy. You
it
think?
is. It's the, what do you, my girlfriend used to call it, I don't want a texting buddy. And you just continue these conversations, and then you never like take that step forward to get to the face to face. And it really is personal how you prefer it. I was one of these people that when I met someone online, I needed a longer period of time to get to know you before I'm going to waste my makeup on you, and spend my precious Friday night going to meet up. But there's a lot of people are like, I just want to cut to the chase. Let's just go right to a coffee date or go right to a dinner date. But I think that gets exhausting if you haven't really narrowed down, are they going to meet my bar? And do we even set bars today? Which I think is really important. I think as you get older, you lower your bar and you're like, I just don't want to die alone. I'll take anyone. And that's unfortunate because you'll get anyone. You know, you got to be more specific. So yeah, I think you have to take a lot of control of it and not just let the dating game or the online drive you. You've got to say, this is what I'm looking for. This is who I'm looking for. And I'm going to ask the tough questions.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the internet, I think it's a gift and a curse. I think we have more ways to communicate, more ways to reach out to people anywhere in almost any country today. And it's not, it's not impossible to meet someone that's on the other side of the world. Just like back in the day, if you told someone, hey, I know a girl that lives in Brazil, they would be like, oh, you're a liar.
Yeah, pen pal, right?
Yeah, but today, if you say that, they'll be like, oh, let me see a picture. So it's much more believable, but at the same time, there's catfishing, there's scammers.
Yes.
So it's always pros and cons. That's what I always say.
I agree, and that's why it's a lot of what I write about in the book is about dating, and especially dating online, because one of the things that it was a running joke with my best friend and I when I was dating. She said, first of all, you make it a hobby. And I'm like, yeah, it is a hobby, because the more I meet people, the more I know what I want. I'm more specific on what I want. And also it was the same, they'd say the same thing to me every time I met them, whether I felt like we'd be a good fit or not. But they would say, you're such a breath of fresh air. And I didn't really know what they were talking about until I realized from their feedback, I was blatantly, brutally honest. And I asked, like, on the first date, I asked the real questions. You know, I asked not superficial, what do you do for work? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite NFL team? You know, that's just, you know, there's different phases of, it's like, that's introductory. We could do that over a video.
Yeah.
But when I would go on a date, I would be like, you know, what was your experience in your past relationship and what ownership do you take in that? Or how, you know, how close are you to your family and what do you wish was different about your life? So it was like these deep questions that I got to really know people. If I ask someone about their past relationship and they go on about how that person was a terrible person and, you know, you see the gaslighting and they're blaming that person, immediately for me, I'm like, whoop, I'm out. You don't take any ownership. I think what we make a big mistake on is that we're going out on a date and we're dating the potential. And we're not dating that person that's right in front of us. If you look at the person that's right in front of you, you're specific about friends you meet. You're specific about interviewing employees for your company. Why are you not that specific when you're on a date and interviewing someone to be your life partner, right?
I don't know. It's that's interesting. I don't know why people do that. It's kind of weird. You know, it's kind of like when they put more effort. The job is like everything to them. Most people, but their social life, their personal life is kind of like they be like, I'll give it a try. I'm like, but that's your life though.
Right.
Where's the same effort? I don't know.
And so willing to accept less than. And that's interesting to me. As a life coach, it's so funny when clients come, there's always this imbalance of their life work. And it's usually their personality in work is one thing and their personality at home is different. And I think we do that in relationships. It's like, and the way we present ourselves on social media too. You know, you put that filter on and you present all your good stuff. I call it showing your good apples. So, you know, when you're at a farmer's market, they put all the good apples on the top and you don't see the bruised ones on the bottom. And I think, you know, when I was told I was a breath of fresh air, I had no qualms about saying, yeah, this is where my mistakes were. This is what I'm about. These are the things that I'm working on. These are my strengths. And I think there's a vulnerability there that we show that is very attractive. And I think cutting through the chase of 10 dates or, you know, the falseness on social media is really the key. Let's get to the root of who we are. Let's cut to the chase of, if we're a good fit, great. If we're not, that's okay. You can move on. I can move on. There's someone right behind you. I always would tell my girlfriends, if you go on a date and you guys don't mesh, then tell the guy to get out of your husband's way. Because I had a girlfriend who said, well, I'll give him 3 dates. And I'd say, why? If you know on that first date, in the first 15, 30 minutes, they're rude to the waiter, they talk about themselves, they're, you know, disingenuine. Why are you going to give them 2 more dates? You're giving them your time, your energy, all those things that I think are precious in life. And you're just wasting it. You're wasting it on something you know already that isn't going to work.
Yeah, I always say that when you, I guess, get real or just be honest or show who you are, sometimes you give the other person permission to do the same.
Yeah, that's it. It's opening that door to say, hey, let's connect on a deeper level instead of that superficial level, and making those first dates a job interview. It doesn't get you anywhere. You don't know more about them than you already read on their profile. So you have to be willing to just open up and ask the right questions. I don't have it with me. In my life coaching, I do dating coaching and relationship coaching, but when someone is ready to go out in the dating world, I help them create their profile, and we create what's called an avatar. And I wish I had it with me. It's across the room and I don't want to leave you, but It's literally.
Go get it. Go get it.
Can I get it? Okay, good. It's handy. It's handy. Okay. It looks like this, and it's so effective. And this is what it looks like. So this is an avatar. Let's see if we can get this.
Yeah, I can see it.
And so what it does, gosh, where's my camera? There we go. And what it is we list out all the qualities that you really want. So on this one, for example, it drills down specifically what you're looking for. It's like, you know, when people say when you pray, you know, there's an old story where there's a flood and the neighbor comes and knocks on the door and the guy says, no, I'm fine. God will take care of me. And then the water rises to the window and, you know, there's a boat that comes by and oh, God will take care of me. And then a helicopter comes, you know, it's the same thing. You're asking, but you're not being specific. So you're going to get what you ask for. And if you just say, yeah, I want a partner, you're going to get just any old person in front of you. You're not being specific enough. So the idea of the avatar, like you drill down to the core values that are most important to you. And you can touch on physical. And I think that's something we should talk about. When we get set on this idea of what someone should look like, I think we limit the possibilities. My husband, he says we're a 9 to 5. I'm a 9, he's a 5. That's what he says all the time. I tell him, but I'm so in love with your soul, and your soul made you that much more attractive to me. And I think we limit ourselves with those physical aspects of someone. Like he has to be this tall. He has to have brown eyes. He has to be, you know, make this amount of money. And we limit what the potential people that are meant for us soul-wise that are coming. So for instance, in this one, this person's dream partner, you know, she wants someone who's tall and fit, that prioritizes her, has respect, understands other cultures, has spirituality, someone they're comfortable with, willing to try other cuisines, observant, caring, affectionate, not smothering, sexually open, good hygiene. So we all have like this sort of bucket list of what we're looking for, these qualities. And when you make it more specific, the law of attraction brings, I believe, that to you. You're setting it out there saying, this is what I want. And just like a job, hey, I want this job. The job comes, people come, friends, and you meet that expectation. And then when you go out on a date, and I always have everyone print this out and put it on their like mirror when they're getting ready for a date.
Yeah.
Because then it keeps it really strong in their mind that this person needs to have these qualities. And if they don't, I'm not making an exception. I'm not lowering my bar. I can walk away and say, yeah, I don't think you're a good fit for me. Right?
Yeah. You know what? Like, share the video. Tell me what you think below. If you're following me on iTunes, share this episode. And, you know, I would like to hear your feedback. But with the law of attraction, you know, I was a little skeptical with all that in the beginning. But you know what? It works.
Hey, see, it's the secret. Ask Oprah.
It works.
It does.
Because if I look back on even now, say, I'm gonna say the last month or two, I don't know how it happens. It seems like everything's in flow. You know, I'm getting opportunities. I'm getting, you know, more money, job. Everything is just flowing. When it's gone, it's gone. I don't know how it happens. You know, phone calls is coming in.
That's exactly it. I mean, you can call it what you want. People call it a lot of stuff. People call it karma. They call it flow. They call it leveling up. They call it, you know, being in the zone, or, you know, well, law of attraction, whatever it is. You know what it truly drills down to, Lopez, is your belief in yourself. And when you believe you can have these things, then they present themselves. Now think, when you're not in a place of believing you can have it, maybe those opportunities were there before, but you didn't see them because you were not in a place of saying I can have that and I can go after it, and I now have the bravery and the self-worth to say, yeah, I deserve that and I'm getting that. I'm grabbing it.
So when I was writing that book, Love Can't Wait, I put so much into it. I forgot some of the stuff I wrote, which, which is crazy to think. And then I've talked to other people that they've had the same experience. They said they put so much into it, they forgot until, maybe they reread it a couple of times. They're like, "Oh yeah, I didn't read that. I forgot all about it because I was so focused and so locked in." So it works. I don't,
I agree with you, and I'm the same way. I have to reference my book consistently, and go, okay, wait, oh, yeah. And you know what I think that is? I think it's like when you're at your highest level and you're succeeding and you have a message to share. I feel like we get in. It's like when you hyper focus when you're playing a video game or you're watching a movie. People can come and go out of your house and you didn't even realize they came. I think that's the idea. We're so hyper focused on the work and the message we want to get out that it's almost like this channeled thing that it just, when you're in the flow, you are in the flow. And when I do speaking, I can just, as you can see, I'm very chatty. I get in a flow. I never worry about content because it just flows from the heart, and I know the information will come when it's needed. So I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So when you're talking you work with mostly couples or singles or both?
I work with everyone from I have a 19-year-old to I have a 67-year-old. And so I do life coaching, couples coaching, and business coaching. And the business coaching is new for me and I'm absolutely in love with it. It's so much fun to create mostly small businesses and entrepreneurs, just helping them find their mission statement, their business plan, and just kind of helping them step by step, because everyone has a dream. And if I can help someone put that in a way to make it monetary and bring abundance and live your purpose, I'm so about that.
Yeah. So when it comes to couples, what are some constant patterns of this couple might have the same problem as this couple or the other couple? What are some things you hear all the time?
Universally, it is we don't understand each other and I don't feel heard. That is the biggest, most common denominator in every relationship, because we're doing the hustle and we're putting our relationships on the back burner and we're not taking the time we took when we were dating to spend that time with that person and make them feel like a priority and appreciated. Now we're together and now we're just sort of going through the motions and we forget to nurture that relationship every day. We were talking before we got on. My book hit bestseller and my company actually said, you actually surpassed the 5 love languages ranking, which has been on the top spot for years, which is so cool to me because I respect, thank you. I respect that book so much because I use that with the coaching, 5 love languages. So
I have my opinions on that book.
You do? Okay, yeah. Let's go. Bring it.
I feel like okay, the book, it seems the focus is on everyone has their it's the 5 love languages. Everyone, there's something that works for everybody, right? Now, I don't necessarily believe that it's about doing something all the time. So sometimes it could be just the vibe you have between both people. So I'm like, I understand the concept of the book. I get that. Now that works for some people. That's cool. But for me, sometimes just the person being there means something more than just a certain type of action. You know what I mean?
I do, and I'm going to say you appreciate quality time, and I think that's your love language. So, boom, mic drop.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. I totally agree. What maybe for you is you haven't dove in yet. I think inherently we all have a way we love to be loved.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what the love languages is about. And for me, when I have couples do that, it's because if you get close to the way that I love to be loved, then we are going to be more connected. We are going to understand each other better. And I think we all have a little bit of each love language. Of course, we like gifts and we love quality time, but there is one or two that are prevalent that you either got the way you were loved as a child, or it's just, it resonates more with you. And if, like you said, we just like to be, well, that's quality time. That's going to be prevalent for you. I want someone who doesn't have to chat all the time. I talk on a podcast all day long. I'm Lopez and I don't want to talk after work. So, I want someone who's just sitting here chilling with me and watching Netflix. I'm quality time. And then we're going to hold hands. So really, I'm physical affection too. So you do have those love languages. And our job as partners is to hone in better on how that person loves to be loved. And there's something for me that I believe, coming from two marriages that were failed marriages and consistently being in other relationships that were very one-sided. I tended to draw in like very narcissistic men, abusive men, but it was because I had to really realize that I didn't love myself yet. So I thought the idea was I had to earn this love. And I consistently had to do things to make someone love me, until I decided, no, I'm lovable. And when I healed, went out on these dates, I literally would sit across from someone and be like, you have no idea how lucky you are to be sitting across from me. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. So bring it. And that was such a different side than the girl who was like, what can I do to make you love me? So it really is. I think the love languages are important, but I think the most important thing is remembering you're a team and making sure that you're heard by one another. So I encourage what's called couch time. You come home at the end of the day, sit down with your spouse, turn off all electronics, don't worry about dinner for a minute. Give yourself 10 to 15 minutes to listen and check in with each other mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And really, eye contact. How do you feel? And as men, I love that your audience is 90% men.
Yeah.
Men, I'm going to speak to you right now. You don't have to fix anything. I'm going to repeat that. You don't have to fix anything for your woman. She just wants you to hear her. And that's really when you have that couch time. A lot of times men will be like, well, we need to do this, or you need to do this, or let's do this. And she's really saying, just hear me, just have some empathy, and just echo back what I'm saying so I know you're hearing me. Don't sit there in silence. Engage with me and say, wow, that must have been really frustrated for you. How are you going to handle that? It says, I value you. I hear what you're saying. I have empathy for you, and I trust that you're going to handle yourself with class and intelligence.
Yeah, that's guys. We're problem solvers. When a woman starts talking, we think that we're supposed to do something. That's not the case all the time.
Exactly. It's a hunter-gatherer, back to the hunter-gatherer. I take care of the stuff, and then you just, you do your thing. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, I think in today's world, it doesn't work because we do view ourselves as equals, as genders. And all we want is just hear us. You don't have to fix it for us, because fixing it for us, such as like in the 50s when men worked and women were in the home, it's kind of that mentality. But now I don't need you to fix it. I need you to respect me as a woman and a queen to handle my life.
Yeah. So speaking of marriage, at what age do you think men and women should get married? I always say, I tell guys, hey, don't do it 35.
Why 35, Lopez? Why is that the magic number?
Because when you're in your 20s, you're still trying to find yourself. We really don't know who we are. We're like, some of us, we don't know what we want to do. Now we might be going through the motions of college or jobs or whatever. But most guys, they don't really want to do that, you know. So, and then at the same time, we're still trying to find ourselves. You know, we might think we're this way, we might think we're that way. So by the time you hit, I don't know, say 32, 30, you kind of like, okay, I kind of know where this goes. I kind of know what I like, what I don't like, because you can't really know what you want if you haven't had it before or experienced it before. So that's why I say we have to find ourselves first
True.
before
But
before
if you
you
think
invite anyone
about
else.
it, right, and I agree with you 100% on that. Make sure you love yourself first. Make sure you've done everything independently. You know that you're comfortable going out to dinner by yourself. That you know how to support yourself. That you're never gonna be in a relationship that you rely on someone for survival, or that you're dependent on them for your emotional health. I completely agree with you. The difference I would say is that some people find that at 25, some people find it at 45.
Oh yeah,
So
no
I
doubt.
like I like that you picked 35, because in your mind I think you think that's the halfway point. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm lucky to live past 70, at least at a halfway point I'm 35. And it's interesting. My daughter recently just got married last weekend,
Okay.
and she's 29.
Okay.
And I think it depends on how much life experience have you had up to the point that you get married. And I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
numbers are just a number, age is just a number. But where are you on your emotional intelligence? Where are you in your mental health? Where are you in your career? I believe it's most important not to get married because someone's going to save you, or that they fill in holes in you that you haven't filled in yourself, or you haven't, healed. And you're like, well, he does this for me because I don't know how to do that for myself. I think, and I think it really, getting married at 18. So here's my marriage track record. I got married at 18. Ridiculous. Never get married at 18. I agree with you on that. I didn't even know who I was or what I was, but I was coming from a household that wasn't very healthy. Jumped into the first person who would love me. Very unhealthy. Then I got divorced when I was 31, and I got remarried a year later, and he was more of a friend. I should not have married him, and we're still friends today. But he was so much different than the first one that I thought, oh, I better grab this one because I think they're all like the other one. Then ended up, that was a 4-year marriage, and then I ended up being alone for many, many years, and just recently married my husband in 2018. So I think the phase of your life is really important to determine when you're going to get married. But the one thing I would advise for everybody is, when you're dating someone, go through all seasons with them.
Oh yeah.
Meet their families, see them in their workplace, see them around their friends. Like, give it enough time. I always say at least a year and a year is not a lot of time, but at least, at minimum, a year. I know there's stories where, oh, we met and 3 weeks later we got married and we've been together for 25 years, but that's super rare.
Oh yeah, that's rare.
Yeah, that's not very common. And so we're going to go with what's more common. You need to see someone in every aspect, in their highs and in their lows and in their best. And I think that's the determining factor of when it's time to get married is, have we built enough of a bond that I trust you and respect you, and I trust you to be there for me, not just as my partner, but as my friend. I think that's super key. Sorry about that. Doggy came in.
No, that's
He,
fine.
he wanted to be a part of the podcast.
So now that you brought up respect, I want to ask you this: which is more important, respect or love?
Love you for asking that. Love you, love you, love you. It's in my book. I actually call it Trustspect. And
Okay. I
I'm
like
telling you, love is secondary. Love is secondary, and everybody's, we may get a lot of bad comments for that, but I'm telling you, we have a lot of love for a lot of people, but I don't respect everybody in my life. And I know in my past, thank you, that's my man. I love that question. In my past relationships, I didn't respect any of them. And I loved them, but didn't respect them. How is that possible? My husband, I respected first. And then I fell in love with him because of that respect. And I think trust and respect come hand in hand. And I think because respect and trust are a deeper emotion than love. Yeah. I really believe that. And I think the love comes from the action based on the respect that you show me. How do you treat me? How do you talk to me? And that difference, love is secondary. And a lot of people will say, oh, our marriage is horrible. Well, why don't you leave? Because I love him. Okay, but you don't respect him or trust him or have a bond or even have a friendship. So love really is secondary. If all those other things aren't there, they have to be present first.
Yeah, I always say if a woman doesn't respect you, you got to get away from her.
Yeah.
It's not going to end up well.
Yes. And what I have found too, and there's actually a book that I've read about love and respect, and when it comes to men versus women, men want to be respected over love, and women want to be loved over respected. But what happens is when you respect a man, you will get the love that you want from him. But if you don't respect him, you're not going to get the love that you're seeking as a woman, I think. And for men, that's a very, very big thing. And I think finally women are getting to where we understand that respect is more important than love.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys might not verbalize it like that, but what they're really looking for is respect. That's what they really want. They'll look at maybe they might look at television or a movie or something like that, or it might be a couple they know, and they'll be like, "Man, I want a wife that's like that," right? What they're really saying is they want a woman that respects them, like what they saw. It could be a couple, or it could be friendships that they have with somebody. That's what they really want.
So, what do you think, Lopez? What does respect look like in a relationship for you or other men?
Respect to me is it's like you can't really. I don't know if there's a way of explaining it, but everyone saw it growing up as a kid. You saw it. You maybe saw your mom engaging with your dad, or maybe you was in school and you saw some type of authority. It could be a teacher or a principal, or everyone have seen it, but it's hard to articulate it. You know what I mean?
I do. And I think there's a difference between earned respect and mutual respect. Yeah. So I think earned respect is the respect you have for authority and for elders, right? That's earned respect. They've earned it through their wisdom and through, them teaching us. And I think mutual respect is what we're seeking in a relationship.
Yeah.
And what mutual respect looks like to me is I support your dreams. When you want to chase your dreams, I'm there to boost you and encourage you and do whatever it takes, whether it's financially support you, and also respecting your opinions, respecting your intelligence, respecting your emotion, respecting who you are as a person. So I think there's a difference between the earned and the mutual, and I think we're really looking for this mutual respect in a relationship. And a lot of times unhealed people will go into relationships and treat their partners like another child. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I think women do that with a lot of men, and a lot of men that are, maybe not so alpha, maybe they're, they had a strong mother figure and they tend to sort of give in and be a little more, less outspoken about what their needs are. And so I think like you said, when you get to a point in life where you know who you are, you know how to speak your truth, and you know how to ask for your needs to be met, then you meet someone with those mutual respect factors, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of alpha, I kind of don't like that word. What I think a lot of people, what they really want, what they really mean is a masculine man. I think
Right.
that's what most people are trying to say when they say that. I always say the more masculine you are, that energy does something to a woman, whether she knows it or not. That's what I always say.
I would agree. And I think all of us have this balance of feminine and masculine energy. And
Yeah.
some of us need more of some and some of us don't. And I think when that alpha thing came out is, you picture what people have perceived that to be or explain that to be is, a man that really takes control of his life
Yeah.
and can stand up and lead. I think to me, an alpha male is a leader. And that means that you're open enough to share your opinions and you're open enough to, you feel confident. I think confidence is it.
Now, I'm glad you said what an alpha man was. Now, tell me what's a beta guy? What's a beta male?
So a beta is more in touch with his feminine energy. I think a beta man is going to be more passive, less aggressive, more passive, be more compromising, be more, I think more fluid. And I think an alpha male would be more driven to, I'm staying on this path and I'm not very flexible. And the irony is I broke up with my husband. We were dating for 4 months and I broke up with him because I used to say, you were as flexible as a steel bar back then. And my husband was more like, this is how it's going to go. I don't care what you want. And this is the way I see it. And if you don't like it, then tough. So I did it for 4 months and realized I was going back into a cycle of what I'd done before. And I said, oh, no. What are you doing, Maureen? I'm not doing this again. You are now going back into an old way, an insanity cycle, and we're not going to do this. And I broke up with him and said, yeah, this is not going to work for me. I need to be your priority. I need you to give as much as you take. And we broke up, and there was a 6-month period where we both had some things we needed to heal. Got back together after 6 months, and he became more flexible, maybe more of a beta male, we could say. So he had a lot more of I think he gained emotional intelligence. His mother had passed away. He had a talk with his father, and his father had this gut-wrenching talk with him about regret and how his dad didn't love his mom the way he should have, or show her the way that she should have been loved. And it really resonated with my husband. And he had said to himself, if I ever got back with Maureen, I would be different. Excuse me. So when we did get back, he was a changed man. He was more flexible. He was more willing to meet me at a place that I was at. And he was more willing to be compromising. So I think that, to me, that's the difference. He was more emotionally available and willing to compromise and work for a relationship than previous.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance for sure. It takes a lot of emotional intelligence, to know when to bend.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And this is something that I had written a blog about mental health and men.
Yeah.
And it's so different. In my life coaching clients, my males versus my females are night and day. And I love my males because it takes a while to get there to ask for the help. But once you get there, like, you guys are champions. You're willing to do the work and you do it immediately. And I love that. My women are more like, I'll say, did you meet your goals? Oh, no, I got really busy. So they take, quite a bit of time. My males are like, yeah, I did this. And then plus I did this and did this. But it did take a lot longer to get there. Let me ask you, do you think there are still stigmas associated with males about being vulnerable, showing emotion? Do you think we've succeeded in raising our boys a little bit better? Tell me about that.
Uh, it's getting better. I think guys are starting to be more vulnerable. Um, being more expressive, saying maybe they're going through something, health wise, or maybe one of their parents died. That's tough. Sometimes that affects you in so many. It affects everybody differently. Because I have my parents. Both of my parents have died over the past 5 years, and everyone I've talked to, everyone deals with it very differently. But it affects everybody differently, and it doesn't go anywhere. That's the thing, So you just never know what people might be going through. And as far as women are kind of passive, you know. Now the only what I observe with women is if it's a group of women, they'll listen to what the other woman is saying. If she's expressive or vulnerable, then she'll be like, "Oh, she's saying okay, it's okay for me to say it too." So it just depends on. I think it really depends on the woman.
So you think women express things and get their feelings out more because we have this group mentality where we're more supported, and you feel like maybe men are kind of on an island and not able to express it as much with their guy friends?
Yeah, yeah, because with guys, we don't really talk about personal stuff like that unless well, especially if we care about the woman. We're that's off limits. We're no. You're never going to know anything about a woman that we like or care about. No, that's off limits. But if she's somebody that they don't care about, it doesn't matter, you know. But
Wow.
but some guys aren't going to tell you anything, because that's just how some guys are. But I would say the majority of guys, if he likes that woman, cares about her, you're never going to know anything.
Wow. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's still this inability to share feelings as a man?
Well, I think it's more of a weakness thing.
Okay.
And I think it's an individual thing, and it's more of a, hey, this is my territory. I don't want you to invade what I got.
So if you want a deep connection with a woman, at what point do you feel like you need to express? Sorry, I'm like becoming the host here now, but
no, go ahead. No, I like this. I like.
At what point do you think, because I love a male perspective, what point do you think it's necessary to give more of yourself, to be more vulnerable and show those emotions? Because women are not going to stay in a relationship for that long without really knowing you. And that's where the respect and trust comes from, is you have to be vulnerable with me so I can do that. At what point do you think, from dating to marriage, we reach that point as men to express that?
When the guy is willing to take her serious, that's when he'll be like, okay, I can really talk about something that's really on my mind. I can really get deep with her. I can get vulnerable with her. That's when he'll open up. But if it's just like in the beginning where you just you really trying to get a feel of what type of woman she is, he might let out little bits and pieces of info, but he's not gonna be open.
No, not an open book like women can be. So when do you think you cross that line where it's like, okay, now I can be vulnerable? Is it 2 months in, 6 months, a year, or is it her initiating, I'm going to tell you all my stuff, and then you feel secure to share your stuff?
Oh, I don't think it's a time. I don't think it's a time thing. I think it's more of it depends on it depends on how she is, what type of woman she is. It depends on how she carries herself. Depends on how, her whole essence as a woman. That's what it really comes down to, But I don't think it's the time thing, because every guy is different. It could be 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what you're saying is you guys mostly take the lead from the woman.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. That's good to know. I mean, it's interesting aspect for me to teach the women that they have to give the green light. And once they give the green light, then you're going to get what you want. But a lot of women today want the man, believe it or not, we've gone back to some old fashioned values. And a lot of women, especially online dating, will say, I want to be pursued. I want him to make the first move. I want him to pay for dinner. I want him to open up and tell me that he loves me first. So I think we've come full circle. And I think a lot of women want that first. And if you're saying the guy will only be vulnerable when they get the green light from the girl, you can see how we can end up in an impasse, right?
Now, here's the thing. Now, when it comes to, you know, how a woman wants to be treated, the problem is a guy has to have a reason to do that type of stuff. Now, a lot of women will say, well, I want this type of guy, but she don't want to be this type of woman. So there has to be like a median ground somewhere in the middle, because a woman will say, hey, I want to be able to do whatever I want, how I want, with whoever I want. But the problem with that is every guy doesn't agree with that. I mean, he'll date you, you know, he might take a trip with you, but he won't marry you.
Yeah.
So there's two sides to that.
It's almost like it's a cause and effect, where I love that you said that, because it's like, well, if she acts like this, then I'll act like this. And she's saying, well, if you act like this, then I'll be wifey material. You know, it's almost like we have these expectations out there of one another. And it's almost like this competition of who's going to meet the expectation first. And if you don't meet that expectation, then, you know, as the song goes, next, you know, wow, that's great perspective though. Thank you. I love picking your brain.
That's where a lot of problems are coming at today, because women want a traditional man, but they don't want to be a traditional woman.
Oh, good. Well said. Well said.
I'm like, well, how's this gonna work?
Yeah, and there you go. That's back to meeting those mutual respect and mutual needs. Like, if we're not meeting in the middle and this is not evenly balanced, I think we're all so independent today and so much better at choosing a mate. There's no expectation to get married and have kids now. We can do whatever we want. So I think it's a little more difficult because the expectations are a lot higher. So I think it's a really great perspective. I can totally appreciate that. Let me ask you something. When it comes to online dating and you see profiles of women, do you believe what you read? And what is the one thing that you think men find women are most deceiving about?
Most of the stuff I take it with a grain of salt.
You believe it when you see it, kind of.
Yeah. Until I talk to her on the phone and meet in person. But I think a lot of guys, you know, of course we're visual. We see the pictures or whatever, but at the same time we're thinking, I don't know, the pictures look good, but I don't know, you know. And then if you get a chance to meet her, you be like, oh man, she's 15 pounds overweight. You know, she took the pictures 2 years ago. That's not good.
I had a guy that I went out on a date with, and we knew right away we were not a match, but we started comparing dating stories. And the guy said to me that he was talking to a lady online, and she had these pictures of her running a marathon and, you know, totally all about fitness. And they got together, and not to body shame anyone, but I will shame anyone who doesn't tell the truth. This woman was about 250 to 300 pounds.
Oh God.
When they got together on the date. And what baffles me is you know you're going to meet this person. What are you going to do? Lose 100 pounds before you meet them? I mean, I don't understand why you can't be the most honest and this is who I am. If someone likes big women, be honest. I'm a big woman. Here I am. Here's a picture of yesterday eating breakfast at Denny's. But if you're going to say you're a marathon runner, you're going to attract men that want the same things and they're in the same interest field. They're runners and they're active and they like to do stuff. So it's baffling to me that people are deceitful. I think the thing for women, and I'll give you men a really good perspective. When we are online looking at profiles, if you're doing a bathroom selfie, you're out. Okay? Because bathroom selfies are the worst. You know, the head cut off and they're just, you know, the abs. And I'm like, I'm not dating your abs. I'm dating you. So no. Okay, move over. Get out of my husband's way. You know, but truly those bathroom selfies, and then they have no other pictures, like no friends, no vacation pictures, no you know, hobbies that they're doing, and you're going, woo, this guy's going to be like class A Klingon, not going there. So advice to men, we are visual as well.
Oh yeah.
And we like smiles. I don't know why men don't think they have to smile and they have to be Mr. GQ and they're Mr. Serious. You know, you're not Denzel Washington. Stop it. Smile. You know, like it's very important because that conveys your personality. And, you know, just be honest. Just be honest. So what's your feedback on that as far as the deceit online or the mystery?
No, pictures are very important. And I always say, make sure we know who you are in the pictures if you're taking a group picture.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm like, who is who? I don't know.
Right. Like be with friends, but let me be able to at least pick you out. I got you.
Because, you know, there's some people will have an arrow point. They'll have some type of, you know, animation, have the arrow pointing to who she is or whatever. Okay, I like that. There's some times where I'm like, who is who? I don't know who this person is.
I want to ask you what you think about chemistry. Do you think
that's very important.
Do you think it's instantaneous or do you think it can come later?
Man. Ooh, man, that's a good question. I think. Man, I think you can work on it, but it's not the same as instant. Not the same.
I agree. You think it gets either more or less as you get to know the person?
More. I mean, because the more you're around the person, you get to know them better. You learn. You grow. You know, but it's not the same as instant. No.
And do you believe that you can force it and believe that it will come later? Like if you like the person?
No, I've tried that.
Me too.
That never worked.
I'm so glad you said that. You know, you meet someone and they have like 90% of those qualities.
Yeah.
And then there's like this 10% that something is just, it's not there. And, you know, we don't want to be shallow and say, oh, you're not physically attractive, but I think there has to be that physical element.
Yeah.
And I remember my husband and I went on that first date, and I mean, I was sabotaging as soon as we walked in. First thing I said, which is terrible, and the fact that we're still here today, I said, I thought you'd be taller, which is like saying, you know, I wish your private part was bigger.
You can't say that.
I mean, it's like saying that to a man because their height is kind of an insecurity. Yeah. And the other thing I said was, you need to update your picture online because you look older in person. And it did not shake him. It did not move him. If it were me, if a man would have said that to me, I'd have been like, yeah, no, I'll be over here. I'll be in my car driving away. And
women can't take that. They can't take stuff. No.
It was so cool how confident he was. So first of all, I wasn't like physically attracted right away. I mean, obviously, I'm cutting the poor guy down. I wasn't physically attracted. We sit down to our dinner, and you're gonna laugh. And this is something I think nobody talks about, but it's so true. We all have preferences, and as silly as they are, they can be as tiny and insignificant and even shallow, if you want to say that. But I think we have preferences. So we sit down to dinner, and he orders the whole bottle of wine instead of just a glass. Well, I hate cheapskates. I love generous men, and he ordered the whole bottle of wine. So that was like, ooh, tick mark. Good job. Good job on that. Then we were ordering dinner, and he's like, what do you want to eat? And I said, oh, well, this looks good and this looks good. He goes, let's order them all and we'll share. And I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm an eater. I love to eat. I'm not the salad girl here. I want food, and I want a lot of it. And it was like those two things were super cool. Then he starts, telling jokes and just being super just down to earth. He's an engineer, so he's very dry. He has very dry humor, and I love and appreciate sarcasm. And it was about 30 minutes in, Lopez, and in my head, I'm like, damn, I didn't want to like you, but I really like you. And then we actually, as the dinner progressed, it was a 6-hour date, believe it or not. We started talking about, like, we got in deep. We got into sexual preferences. We got into all of it, and we were shutting the restaurant down. They were like ready to go home, and we're like, oh, just one more minute. Then he came over on my side of the bench, and he kissed me, and it rocked me. And so when I say, do you feel chemistry right away, or can it grow? I believe it's when you get this deeper connection or this mutual, I think compatibility is underrated. I think, forget that opposites attract crap. I don't think so. I think compatibility is so vital. As the date progressed over 6 hours, I was like, oof, I'm in. I am in. And I never would have thought that at 5 minutes in, when I'm telling him he's too short and he looks old.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say opposites might attract, but they can't live together very long.
Yes. Yeah, my drop. That is I'm with you 1,000,000%. I don't think you can do it. I
talk about a recipe for a disaster.
Yeah, I don't think it has longevity. I don't think it has. Now, we could say there could be an exception, but man, it's rare. If you have the mutual respect for your differences, but you're going to come across so many avenues that you need to be a team, and you need to have the same opinions and views and goals on, that I don't think if you're that far apart, you'll be able to come together and live in harmony, right?
I think it's going to be too many obstacles you have to get past, and I don't know if two people can get past them all. Like you said, there's always exceptions to the rule, but hey,
Yeah. So really the compatibility part of it would be, because my mom and dad are night and day. I've asked them, I don't know how you guys got married, stayed married. And I've always asked them, they've been married now for 56 years. Yeah. And I said, how did you guys stay together? And because you were so different. My dad's this extrovert. He was a musician, and my mom was introverted, went to Catholic school and very non-social. I mean, my dad's playing at bars in Chicago. It's just, completely off the chart. And I said, well, how did you guys stay together? And what even made you think you could stay together? And my mother said something really interesting. She said, our goals, our values, and what we had planned for our lives and the things, our intelligence was evenly matched. And the rest of it would just fall into place if you had those things. And here they are 56 years later, and they are so different. I don't see as much of the love and mutual respect that I wanted in my marriage. And so they didn't teach me that, but they did show me that in longevity, you can have opposites if you're core values are matching.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a different time, when they got together too,
Really?
I mean, today, if you meet a couple, if they've been together for 20 years, that's like, oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
What? 20 years ain't nothing. That's what they would say.
I know. But you know what? It's because, and I'm going to give our generation more kudos. I think it's because they just did what they had to do. It didn't mean they were happy about it. They just
Yeah.
did it. And the expectation was you stay together no matter what.
Yeah.
In my family, I was the only one that's ever been divorced. And so, of course, no one viewed that as anything good. And I was the black sheep. But, if I followed my generations, I would have stayed together or stayed in an abusive relationship, demeaned myself, didn't know my worth, and just been this, meek woman who didn't serve her purpose and didn't get out of it and believe that I deserved better. So I think our generation is definitely more in alignment with believing in who we are and that we deserve the best and we don't have to settle. And time does not mean quality. Time just means quantity. And so today I think we're looking for quality over quantity.
Yeah. So I know you get this question a lot. What's the difference between life coaching and therapy? I know you get that.
I do. I get that all the time. So with all due respect to other professions, I think we've outgrown therapy and counseling. The method with therapy and counseling is to really deep dive into what's wrong, what happened. And the focus is really on your past. And life coaching, I focus on your future. And I think the biggest difference is in life coaching, I'm not restricted to the things that I say. We are certified, but we don't have to be licensed by the state. And that's why insurance doesn't cover it, because insurance likes to control what you do as a medical professional. So I think life coaching is amazing because we can share our experiences. We can do out of the box ideas with people. I've had clients sit in their car and yell out the window, "I'm amazing." Or I have couples create a little date jar where you pick out of it and you go do whatever that idea is. So I get to do things that are unique and different. And I think different works in today's world. We need something new that is different from what we've known. And the difference in life coaching is I focus on you moving forward and the goals you want to reach, and knowing and believing you can have, do, and be whatever you want. And that's my focus. Therapy and counseling focuses on where have you come from, what caused this, and what's your problem.
Gotcha. So where do people get the book? My Dog is My Relationship Coach.
All over the place, but mainly Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and then also Outskirts Press. And it looks like this. It's got my little grand doggy. Oh, that's a terrible. God, I am horrible at that.
Yeah, I can see
it. That is my grand dog right there.
Okay.
And those are my feet.
Oh, for real? Oh, okay.
Funny story.
No, I didn't know that was you.
Funny story is I got the idea for the cover because I just thought, oh, that's really cute. You got to have a dog in the middle of the relationship. And so I hired a photographer and I said, here's my idea, what I want. And my best friend had really good lighting in her bedroom. And I said, hey, can we shoot this in your bedroom? And she was with a gentleman at the time who's now her ex. And so now every time she looks at the book, we always say, I went to bed with her ex-boyfriend. I was in bed with her ex-boyfriend. So it's a running little joke, but those are his feet and my feet. And it was 118 degrees here that day. And we are under a down comforter about to die of heat exhaustion. But we got the shot. So this year, exclusive background story on the cover. This is not some Canva, shot. This is like completely created. But Amazon.com, My Dog Is More Enlightened Than I Am, and My Dog Is My Relationship Coach. And then if anyone's looking for life coaching, relationship coaching, dating coaching, I'm at lifecoachmaureen.com.
So share the video. If you follow me on my podcast, tell me what you think about this episode. Until next time, we out. Peace.